Okay, welcome everybody. I think it's time to go. My name is Dr. Shirley. Welcome to Intro Micro. I've got multiple things to try to toggle through, so bear with me for just a minute. And for those of you tuning in on Zoom, if you've got any questions, feel free to just unmute and let me know. Because typically the chat and all of that stuff, I don't pay attention to that until it's too late. Okay, so I want to quickly go over the syllabus, the schedule, some details about the course before we get into the meat of the day. So real quickly, this is Introductory Microbiology. I hope you're all in the right spot. My office is in the building next door. If you go right through those glass doors, I'm right in there, office 210. I don't have set office hours. Part of that's just pandemic stuff. Other parts of it really are, once I put a bunch of office hours down there, I technically am supposed to be in my office for all of those hours. I teach a boatload of different classes, and trying to give separate office hours winds up with me spending numerous hours just in my office. So not that I won't be in there. It's just easier to know if you want to show up. Holy cow, it's standing room only. There are a few seats here and there, guys. I don't want you to just have to stand. Man, packed house. A couple semesters back there, I was distance delivering to Idaho Falls, and there was also an overflow in the library. People that were maybe supposed to go to the library didn't realize that, and so my classroom in Pocatello was full, and there were about 30 people standing in the back, and I was like, holy cow, I'm a rock star. And then I realized I'm not. Dang it. Okay. So there are a few seats. You'll have to kind of.
There's a seat right here.
Right here, right there. There's a couple. There's a few. And I can pretty much guarantee it's going to be like this for today. And then people are like, oh, I guess I'll just stay home. Fine. I'd like you to be in class. Okay. Office is room 210. Across the way in biology, that's your biology lab is across the way in the basement. With that said, I did post a message on the lab site. There are no labs this first week. So it all starts, I think the labs begin on Tuesdays. I don't know what day you're scheduled, but next Tuesday is the very first lab for those of you on Tuesdays. And there should be, there's contact information for all of the TAs and all of that stuff. I currently am the coordinator. My information is on the list of that as well. If you've got issues or concerns, technically you should reach out to your TA about stuff, but you also can reach out to me as well. So this course, Introductory Micro, is really kind of designed for health professions. There are lots of people in here that are thinking nursing or dental hygiene, something like that. There are some others that are thinking about kind of just getting their feet wet and trying to decide, is microbiology really what I want to do in the first place? I hope to provide coverage of all of that, but with the bulk of people really thinking some sort of health profession, a lot of spin's going to be put on that. And deep down, I think diseases are awesome. At think I'm in the right boat. Whether or not you want to be in the boat with me or not, that's maybe a different story. So we are going to go through the text is on OpenStax. I'll go through that here in just a second. We're going to go through that kind of following. There's a few chapters that we will skip over, but trying to provide an overview of the material as we progress along. So we'll talk about some of the key techniques in microbiology, some historical information. The first chapter's got a bit of that within there. We'll talk about microbes. It's more than just bacteria, although a lot of what we're going to think about is it really is bacteria. A lot of microbes we will discuss are going to be disease causing, because that's where a lot of the focus is in the first place, right? But with that said, I will also try to provide some opportunities to think about some of the other players. There are all sorts of organisms out there that we find beneficial. We potentially utilize these things maybe every day, not even knowing, all right? So we'll try to touch on some of that as well. So we'll give kind of a name to a face or a face to a name, depending upon what you may come in here thinking about. We'll talk about how these organisms behave, some of the details like their metabolism and genetics. We're going to kind of gloss over that stuff, maybe giving just little tidbits of information, because really, I feel like that's not the overall scope of this course, all right? So the diversity, the details about that, and then again, disease is a big factor with that. So, you know, I don't know if we still call this high flex format or not, but I left it all in here from way back at the start of pandemic stuff. It obviously is some sort of a hybrid situation. I've got Zoom stuff happening. I am recording these lectures, so they will be posted onto Moodle. I'm going to try to get all of those posted on the same week bit of Moodle. So when you, if you want to review a lecture, or if you've missed lecture and want to catch the video, you can go to that part on Moodle and find the information. So the textbook is free from openstax.org. You can also purchase, I think, stuff. They recommend that you go to Amazon. I think you maybe can get stuff directly from openstax.org, but I'm not 100% with that. I think the bookstore has some stuff that you could purchase as well. Whatever, right? The ebook is really pretty good as far as accessibility. Any sort of device, you're able to get that. So I've got information with that and a link. I was just going to say, did I put a link for the packback stuff? I did. So I'll get to that here in just a second. The grading, we've got 4 exams. Basically, we're going to break this stuff down by unit. I don't think I left it on the syllabus. I think I've just got a separate schedule that I posted that we'll go through and talk about that the littlest bit. All right. I switched it up the littlest bit this semester. I've switched it up maybe a lot, including packback. This is my first go around with it, but I've also changed the exams the littlest bit. There was the last one that I counted as a final and made it worth more points. I don't want to do that. I want to make it all basically the same. The final was not cumulative ever, but there was a lot of information, and there's potentially going to be some more questions. More questions, worth less points. All right. Overall, each of these exams is going to be worth 125 points for a total of 500, but really only 400 of those will count. That basically means you could drop a test. You technically can't. You should be taking all of these tests. But if you happen to miss an exam, the extra credit hopefully will provide some buffer. There are no makeups. There's no do-overs, right? this is what you see is what you get. All right. The pack back is worth 100 points. It is highly recommended, but there are potentials. It's not, I mean, the book is free. This, I believe, is about 30 bucks. It also, I was told, kind of depends on your situation. If you have utilized this before, apparently you get a deal and it's not as much. So I was told there were numerous people taking 2227 or 2228, whatever it was, where they used that. And I think you get a little bit of a discount. All right. I don't know how much, but a little bit. All right. And I think, you know, really the hopes are that there will be more people getting on board with this, and it will drive the costs of all of this down considerably. So we'll show you some of that stuff here in just a second, but I do think it's going to be worth your while to get registered and utilize this. It also can help kind of as that buffer. So there is a potential for 600 total points. Really, like I said, only 500 of those. So 100 points of extra credit. Take that as you will, right? If you want nothing to do with pack back, then you better do well on the exams and bust that extra credit stuff out as well. And you got all your points, all right? But I feel like it's in your best interest to do both of these. The exams, they will be posted onto Moodle. I will show you this stuff here in just a second. An assortment of types of questions. I like multiple choice. The majority of them will be multiple choice, but there'll be some true false, some matching, maybe fill in the blank short answer. Some of those extra credit stuff might be a little more on the short answer or fill in the blank type of stuff. Just kind of depends. All right. So the type and amount of questions on each of the respective exams are going to potentially be different. Don't expect that there's 50 questions every time. All right. And so just keep that in mind. And like I said, with the final, there's probably going to be a few more. So the pack back stuff, I assume that the majority of you guys received message from these guys a little bit ago, maybe. So hopefully this is not brand new to you. So if not, it is posted here, and I've got some other stuff as well, but you can click on this link and then the key, the course key. Come on in, there's got to be a seat someplace. I see one clear back over there in the corner. This will guide you, this course key or community lookup key. This will direct you to me where the information is. And all of you will be populated into, I don't know if it's a grade book or what it is, but most of you are already in there, right? Thanks to them and their behind the scenes stuff. So there are instructions for all of this stuff and other details right here if you've got questions. I kept more of this from before as well. CDC, COVID stuff. If you're feeling ill, please don't be here. That's why we've got stuff on Zoom and we record stuff and post it. So you don't need to share your dreams. This is microbiology, but we don't want to live right in the middle of it, right? So make sure that you are conscious of that. If you are sick, stay home. And doggone it, wash your hands. Okay. The details, the italics, this is the fine print of any syllabus where after, if you actually read through all of this, you will realize that you have just sold your soul to me, right? And that nobody ever reads it. They don't know, but there you go. All right. The X grade is basically if you just flat out aren't showing up. It's like an F- is kind of what I think. And for financial aid, it's not good. Basically, I feel like as long as you are doing stuff, if you are completing assignments, whether you're actually in the classroom or not, I'm not going to stand here and take roll. Maybe I'm supposed to, but I'm not going to do that. So if the stuff is being completed, if you're completing pack-back assignments, you're taking tests, you've been here, right? Whether you're actually in the room or not. Lab's a different story and you need to be there, right? There are, if you are ill, that's a different story, but you just flat out can't go. As far as academic integrity with the exams being on Moodle, I expect your honesty. I expect integrity. I do not want you guys working together. These exams will be, you have resources. The textbook is a resource, and I think you should be able to utilize that, right? I do not want you to think Google is your best resource and you can just search up whatever you want, right? That's not what I want to know, right? I want to know what you know and that you're able to use your textbook to find the information and not type something into Google and get me something maybe accurate and maybe not, all right? Textbook notes, that stuff is fine. Searching other materials is not. The plagiarism and stuff like that, that doesn't really fit in here. You're not writing reports. That does fit with lab stuff. You need to do your own work. As far as accessibility stuff, I kept both on here. You never know. There could be people up in Idaho Falls. They could be tuning in right now. So Pocatello and Idaho Falls, two different potentials for accessibility concerns. Email links on there as well. I know this morning, and I thank the disability services for waiting until today, because last time it was like 2 weeks before and I started getting messages and then it's all lost. I'm like, where are these people, right? Lists of names have already been sent to me for details about this. And so if you've got concerns about this, please contact them. They can set you up with specifics to help you. Other details about success, freedom, and land acknowledgement. I'm not going to go through all of that, but I do recommend you look it over the list bit at your leisure. All right, stopping this. Any questions about the syllabus? Okay, so many things opened up on here. Okay, so this is also posted on Moodle. This is all up on the top, right under announcements. You'll see all of the details, the syllabus, the schedule, and other information. This goes through weekly with details about when the exams are, when they're open, and when they close. All of the exams will close at 5 p.m. I want to say it's Monday, but one of these, this one I think is on a Tuesday because President's Day, right? Can't make it due on a holiday, I guess. Okay, so you can see when they're all due. The one exception with this, and we will potentially modify this as we get toward the end, but final exam schedule lists off all sorts of details, and I don't know why, but I feel like every stinking time, it doesn't matter the class, but I always wind up with 7:30 final. I don't know why. My wife's like, who'd you piss off, right? It must be somebody, right? And it was the same with summer school. I'm teaching like 7:30 in the morning. I'm teaching a summer class. She said the same thing. And I'm like, I don't know. And I said something to the office staff and they're like, oh, you did that to yourself. You're the one that scheduled that time. I'm like, I did not, right? Once they told me that, I changed it. Okay, I can't change this. But we can potentially make it open for a window, but I didn't leave it as a window because the finalists, it's supposed to be set in stone, right? It's not. Okay, so it is broken down into units. This first bit, really all of these kind of go together. but 6 chapters of this seems like kind of a lot to try to cover for one exam. So I've split it into 2 separate ones. The first bit really is thinking kind of just an introduction into micro. And then the second chunk of material is really talking the details, bacteria, some of the protists and viruses, and some other stuff. We'll go through in these 3 chapters. The next chunk of material, a bit, and the next 2 really, a bit more chapters to cover. The third bit is really kind of immunology. I'm going to try to distill that down. It looks kind of overwhelming, but I will try to give you an overall overview and not get you super bogged down with details, because you don't need all of that stuff. So we think a little bit about how we control, and then how our bodies control as well with that. And then finally, the last chunk of material, really some of my favorite stuff, is the specific diseases. And with that said, they're broken down into body sites. There are numerous microbes that we will potentially talk about repeatedly, all right? You will see some pathogens in numerous body sites, right? And so you will see some of that redundancy as we progress along. And that is also something to kind of stick away in the back of your mind. You're like, wait a minute, he's talked about E. coli 15 times in this lecture. Maybe I ought to think a little bit about E. coli. Yes?
During spring break?
Is that true?
Yes.
Is it due on the Monday that spring break starts? Is that what I did? Do I not even have spring break written in my stinking calendar? Okay, I do. I have that. No, I don't. That's midterms. That's exam 2 or exam 3?
3.
3. Hang on. I'm flipping pages.
On the ISU website, it says spring break is the 21st through the 20th.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I think we probably should modify that a little bit. I don't know. You're all here right now. Do you want the exam to open on the 18th and be open for all of spring break and close on the 28th? You want that? Do you want it to open on the end of spring break and close on the 28th? Who wants that? Nobody. Okay.
I'll put the Wednesday before.
This on the 16th?
Yeah.
Who's talking to me?
I am.
The 16th. Okay. I will change this right. It's not going to save. I will change it later and repost it. So yes, we can switch that up. Maybe. I can't. Okay, we'll open it on the Wednesday and close it on, did I say that was 28th? That's a big window of time. Will you use it to study? I doubt it. Okay. Write it in here. Okay, I will get this modified and reposted because I know changing it on here is not going to save it on Moodle. All right. Any other questions or concerns? I thought I was doing good with all of that. So I was putting it all together. I obviously wasn't. Okay. Now I'm gonna have to go back and look at my other, I probably scheduled tests on spring break for them. Okay, that's fine. Stop that one. Okay, now what should we talk about? Who's that pack back stuff? Okay. Next one, we've already kind of hit this. A little bit of it was posted in the syllabus. So make that a little bit larger as well. So this is required. But as I was saying, technically with the extra credit stuff, you can kind of decide. I would say it is in your best interest to utilize this. There are numerous things that as I was introduced to it, I was like, that's pretty cool. I think it will be good. Are there people in here that have used this before? Handful of you. Okay, the people that have raised their hands, did you like it? You'd say no? Why?
I just feel like it's a discussion board, and I mean, sometimes it goes nice to learn a little bit from it, but at other times it just felt like busy work to just get done.
Okay. Yeah.
So one thing that I think kind of made it that way is we had specific questions that we had to ask, and so it was very much the same questions over and over. The same question being answered, the same question being asked. It was better when it was like we came up with our own kind of relation to the material.
Okay.
That was my next question, is that are we gonna have like assigned questions to answer and ask each other, or just whatever we want?
So there is stuff that's assigned, but I don't want to force you to be like, oh, I said E. coli. I don't want you to write me something about E. coli or ask something, I want it to be more open so that you can think about stuff. There will be things that I post. There are things on there that are posted automatically. The first couple on there, I didn't post those things, but I liked them. And there were numerous things that I will look through that I will potentially, that I'm not coming up with, that I will post because I think they're good. So I feel you with the discussion board and busy work stuff. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that type of stuff. I have used different platforms with stuff because sometimes I feel like having something besides tests is helpful, right? And then sometimes I get feedback like, oh, this is a bunch of busy work. And I'm like, okay, fine. Here's just tests. And they're like, geez, I wish I had something else. I'm like, what the hell do I do? So I'm trying to provide a little bit of extra stuff, some buffer. I don't want it to be something that becomes overwhelming or you're just like, oh, I'm just going to ask the same shit every time, right? I don't want that. And I don't think that does you any benefits, right? So it should be different. There should be new stuff and new posts that will hopefully some stimulate some thought process and others you're like, nah, I don't want to talk about that. Yes.
So do we have backpacks?
I think there is something due this week. Yes, I think there is. Yes, Thursday at 11:59, which gives the opportunity to, and for this first bit, I'm not concerned about that, but as we're progressing through the thought, and this was part of the, not me thinking this up, but the people trying to sell it to me. This provides an opportunity to see what's going on. And if there are specific issues or concerns, that could be addressed on Friday as we're wrapping up that week worth of material. And I kind of thought that's maybe a good idea. So the 11:59, that's a deadline for that. I personally have felt with other things, making a deadline at 5 o'clock is better. If you miss this deadline, don't shoot me a message. It's not my problem. It should be done. All right. It's a fraction of your overall grade. If you miss one of these, it's not the end of the world. All right. And you also have the buffer of extra credit with the test questions. So there's plenty of wiggle room, all right? So the details with this, there's open-ended questions. It has some sort of AI that goes through this. There are others besides me that examine it, and I also will be looking at it. But they're the ones that go through and do the initial grading with that. So asking one open-ended question and then responses, two responses to other things. And it doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to pour your heart and soul out to this stuff. It's just a little bit, right? Hopefully not just a bunch of busy work, right? And I do appreciate your feedback. If we're moving through here and you start feeling like that's really what's going on, I would like you to let me know so that I can try to make some adjustments, right? I am just getting my feet wet with this platform, right? It's my first go around with it. I feel like there's good stuff, but I'm not, you know, I'm not 100% with everything on there yet, right? And there are definitely details as you move through here with this, where it talks about their help, right? Where they can walk you through stuff and deal with things they know. I don't, right? And there's also YouTube. I didn't link this out. I should have. You can check that out as well if you are interested. Okay, other questions or concerns? Yes.
What's a curiosity score?
So that's basically as you are going through and writing your question, it's gauging the way that you are asking that question. It will give you some details about that, how you achieve whatever points on it. But just asking, you know, like a couple of word question is probably not going to give you a very high curiosity score, right? So it takes into account sort of the details, the meat of what you're saying, but I'm not sure about that, right? Anybody that's done it? Yes.
Well, I was gonna say, it'll like flag your question. It'll say like you haven't met the minimum like curiosity score if your question is like closed-ended. So it'll like tell you like what your curiosity score is, like based on the question you've written before you submit. So you can like know what your curiosity score range will be
Before you submit it.
Cool.
So it's like, oh, that's a pretty good question. Or close-ended, that's not good. You get a score of 40. Right? And you're like, oh,
like grammatical errors, like all that stuff.
it checks all of it.
No.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
I just have a question. So if you are providing us questions that we're supposed to ask, are you posting them on PackPack?
Oh, no, I'm not providing you questions you're supposed to ask.
Right.
There will be some questions on there that like I will be asking that you could be responding to. You can kind of gauge by seeing some of this stuff. Hopefully that sparks some idea. You're like, okay, I'm going to ask something like this, right? It could be something from lecture that I've talked about that you want more detail or you're curious about what other people are thinking, things like that. But I'm not going to give you like a battery of questions that you can start. That's for you.
Last semester when I used PackBack, I had some questions that got flagged and then PackBack like took them down. Will you count that against us or will that still count as one of the questions for that?
That's a good question. I don't know if I have the answer for that right now. I don't know why those questions were taken down. I know sometimes stuff gets flagged, but I don't know exactly why it gets flagged, right? So I don't know. I don't know what you were saying to be flagged in the first place. So I guess I will have to respond to that soon. Why were you flagged?
A lot of the time they just like tell us that it's like open-ended or sometimes I know someone had a problem with like a certain word. And it wasn't
Like
even
profanity?
It wasn't profanity,
I'm
and it
just-
got flagged. So
No, there was one time that I was asking a medical question, but it still like flagged it because it was like, oh no, that's taboo and things like that.
Interesting.
and, like,
I think in here we shouldn't be flagging that type of stuff.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things that could be flagged. All of a sudden, my posts will be flagged, and then will you respond? We will see. That's interesting. We will be learning. Okay. Other questions? Yes. I think yes. Yeah, I think there is stuff due then. I need to go in and look at all of this stuff. There should not be stuff due during spring break. It probably has stuff assigned then. I think it just put everything in there. I will look at that. But during the exam, so my idea, like the week of the exam, your exam will open on a Friday and will close typically on a Monday, is what will happen. And so I anticipate lecturing that Friday, finishing the material or providing review stuff. That's what I truly hope for, is just having Friday for review. But I gave myself a little bit of a buffer, right? So I can wrap stuff up, I can review whatever it might be. That will be Friday. Test opens right after lecture and closes at 5 o'clock on the following Monday is the plan. So other questions? Yeah.
So I've never used Packback, so I don't know how it works, but is it like right after the Packback is due on Thursday, we can like access the next assignment on Friday?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that should all be good. And so if you are, and that's really this first week, hopefully everybody just gets in there, figures some stuff out. If you're having issues, contact the help. You also can let me know about some other details about that. The actual, how it functions and all of that, I don't have all of that worked out yet, right? So I can't provide details about that, but as we've moved through here, it will be easier for all of us, right? Okay, other questions? Okay, so get on there, take a look at that. And if you never received an email from these guys, the information is all here. It's on the syllabus, it's on a separate page. It's all there. There is a PowerPoint with this. I guess I should have maybe started with that. We will see if this provides any extra information. I'm just going to quickly toggle maybe through this. If we can, I'm going to minimize that. So it is AI supported. Like I said, there are people behind the scenes that are looking at stuff as well, but the taboo stuff, it must be the AI that's flagging that stuff, I guess, right? And that really, I guess, kind of has a few concerns for me, because as we start talking about disease and whatever, there could be some stuff that maybe they will flag. What's going to happen as we get into the genitourinary system, right? Oh my gosh. Okay. So the questioning, all of this stuff, I do truly think is beneficial. I don't want it to be a bunch of busy work, but I do hope, as we're thinking microbiology, as we're thinking maybe disease or other stuff, it will spark some interest. And that, I hope, will provide some opportunities for me to recognize where that interest truly is, and give me some opportunities to kind of geek out a little bit, right? I like talking about disease, but if I find out that people are like, holy cow, I want to know about, CRISPR technology or bioengineering or something like that, that I'm like, we're going to gloss over all of that stuff. If I find out that that's really where a lot of the focus is at, I'd like to hit the brakes, change gears, and start focusing on that. There's no reason that we can't talk about other topics. We don't have to just talk about disease, right? And really, the disease is only the last chunk of stuff. But I'm hoping that this is beneficial for everybody and will provide an opportunity for me to gauge some of that as well. Just simply giving you homework questions or test questions, I can gauge what you're not getting after I see your test score. This helps me see what's happening in the process building up to that. And hopefully that will be beneficial for all of us, all right? So it hopefully builds some skills as we move through here for all of us, all right? All of this, I didn't put anything in there because it matters not. So all of this, we hope will help with mastery of the objectives. I hope that you're coming to lecture, you're tuning in. I hope that utilizing these resources will help with test scores and overall solidifying this. All right, so the deadline, and they put all of this together for me. I'm just like, oh, this is perfect. Although not the insert here's because I obviously didn't even look at that. So the deadline, the details, all of the stuff you need, that gets put into a grade book and you should be able to see it. So flags for plagiarism, close-ended questions, stuff like when's the next test, that doesn't count, right? And low effort, things like that, all right? So I'm sure that's not what you were getting flagged for, right? You weren't saying when's the next test. All right, so, and this is some of the stuff. So flagged but not losing points, moderated, no longer counts for credit, and then potential for you to go in and tweak it or modify it and get your points back, dependent upon what's up with that and how, I guess, it's moderated. So you can, once you're in there in the platform, you can see stuff like your participation and grades as you've moved through each of these, potentially how many times others have made comments on that. Maybe it's a great question. And some of these will potentially be brought into lecture as I'm moving through here and seeing some of the details. All right. So I think I skipped that. So you should have got this. I think we're good. Any questions or concerns about that? How about my people at home? Any issues? Okay. So we have basically, we've pretty much taken the whole time, which is what I know that's what you wanted, right? So I am not going to get into the details of this first chapter. We'll start this on Wednesday, right? But this, as you go to OpenStax, this is, they've spent a lot of money on the cover of this textbook. This is what the textbook looks like, blue with microbiology, all right there, all right? I think it's the only microbiology book that's on OpenStax, right? So, could be wrong with that, but I'm pretty sure it's the only one. Please get on there, look through this first chapter, and on Wednesday, we will get into the details. All right, guys, have a great day. Okay.
For lab, they posted a book that is required.
Uh-huh.
So this is it. It's the brief
Uh-huh.
microbiology. Is it also acceptable to use the essentials
No,
microbiology?
wait. For you, for intro micro, essentials is what you want.
Oh,
The brief one is for general microbiology, so 2235.
right. So that would not, I've mixed those up. So that would not work in this class.
They're the same menu.
Okay.
Okay, the brief edition has more stuff. The essentials is whittled down a little bit. It should be cheaper. If you have access to the other one,
I do.
to the brief,
Right, yes.
you'll be okay.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of stuff that's a little bit different, like maybe the exercise is numbered a little differently, but it's basically the same stuff. So if you've got the brief, you're fine.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's, you can go through that. You may need, you may need to see like the table of contents and the essentials, and you should be able to just see that online. And
Okay,
then you'll be like, okay, they want exercise 2-1, but really in the brief, it's 2-2.
right.
Right, and then you
Okay.
read through that, but you'll be okay.
Okay,
And if you've got issues or questions about that, I can help you out with that, because I got both of them in my office, and so we should go through and figure that
okay.
out.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
you're welcome.
Shirley.
You were before me.
Things, like I saw that the lab for this one was gonna interfere with my anatomy, so I tried to drop that one and get your book, but it got this class that I was just in, and it doesn't allow us to add the lab. It says, oh my gosh, but I was already in.
Okay. And so there was probably somebody on the wait list, and as soon as you drop the class, now they're in the class, and now you're not in the class, right?
I checked on if you're a waitlist, and this says that there's no waitlist.
So can you try to register again? You need to snag both of them, lecture and lab at the same time. I'm willing to wager